Hey everyone, this is Fawad Nisari from Nisari Brothers eXp Realty, and welcome to the First Time Homebuyer series, where we're going to be discussing everything that there is about buying your first property in Canada in 2022. We'll cover topics like how much money you need to buy your first home, how to get a mortgage pre-approval, the different types of mortgages like the fixed rates and variable rates, and then we'll talk about how to find your team to help you with your journey, and lastly, all the costs associated with buying your first home in Canada in 2022. To ensure you don't miss on any videos from this series and future videos, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell so you're notified as soon as we upload our next video in this series. All right, so let's talk about today's topic. We'll talk about how to save for a down payment, but before we do that, let's talk about how much money you need to buy your first property in Canada. Well, you need to put at least 5% down for homes up to $500,000 and 10% of the remaining amount if your purchase price is under $1 million. For example, let's say you want to buy a property for $800,000, you would need 5% of the first $500,000 and 10% of the remaining $300,000. So for an $800,000 property, you need $55,000 for your down payment, plus an additional 1 to 1.5% towards your closing costs. So essentially, you're going to need around $65,000, $67,000. Now for homes over $1 million, the minimum down payment requirement is 23%. Now keep in mind, you'll have to pay for a mandatory mortgage insurance if your down payment is less than 20%. We'll cover mortgage insurance in the next video. Now let's talk about how to save for a down payment. And here are 4 different ways you can save for a down payment without the help of mom and pop bank. Number 1, start with a budget plan. This may seem pretty simple. I did this personally with my wife when we decided to buy our first property, and you'll be amazed how much money we spend on unnecessary things. So the first thing is to start with a budget plan and start reducing some of your current expenses. This may not seem much, but believe me, soon you will discover how much money we spend like unnecessary things like the everyday coffee and muffin on our way to work, or buying lunch 2 to 3 times a week, and not to mention all the monthly subscriptions that we have, like the Spotify, Netflix, HBO, the cable TV, the list goes on and on and on. So go through your budget plan and make some cuts. This alone should save you $200 to $300 a month, which again translates to over $3,500 a year in savings. Number 2, get a side hustle. There's so many different ways that you can make at least $500 a month. And here are some of my favorite side hustles. You can offer your services on different freelancing websites like Fiverr, Freelancer, or Upwork in exchange for a fee. For example, if you're a graphic designer, you can offer to make logos, flyers, or any graphic design for that matter in exchange for a fee. If you're an accountant, you can offer to do small business bookkeeping and taxes. If you're in IT, you know how to create websites, you can offer create websites for businesses. And if freelancing is not your cup of tea, if you have a car, you can drive for Uber or Lyft. You can even deliver food and groceries these days and make at least $50 for 3 hours of work. And if you don't like that, you can just rent your car on sites like Turo to make some additional income. The point is, you can easily make at least $500 a month with these side hustles, and that's $6,000 saved for your down payment. Number 3, sell your unwanted stuff on eBay or the Facebook marketplace. So what we do is go around your house and you'll find a ton of things you don't need. Just list them on Facebook Marketplace and you start selling. You'll be surprised how many things we have laying around the house that you can just sell it to someone else who needs them. Number 4, take advantage of your Rrsp first time home buyer plan. This is a big one, and I promise everything we talked about so far would make a lot more sense if you follow this step. As a first time home buyer, you can withdraw up to $35,000 tax-free from your Rrsp account for the purchase of your first home. And if you're buying with somebody else, such as your spouse, partner, fiance, they can also take up to $35,000 from their Rrsp for the purchase of their home. This essentially is a loan from your Rrsp. You're required to pay it back within 15 years. It doesn't really kick in for the first 3 years once you buy a house. Now, there are a couple of different ways to really take advantage of your Rrsp, and one of the ways is to expedite this by taking advantage of your company's contribution. So if you work for a company and if your company offers Rrsp and matches your Rrsp contribution, you really need to take advantage of this and start contributing to the company's matching plan. For example, let's say your employer offers to match your contribution up to 5% and you make $70,000. You would contribute 5% and your company matches your contribution dollar for dollar. At the end of the year, you contributed $3,500 and your company matched your contribution, and now you get free $3,500. That's $7,000 a year, and in just 3 years, you will have $21,000. This also reduces your tax rate since it's a pre-tax contribution, so at the end of the year, you pay fewer taxes. The other way to grow your RSP is to take advantage of the tax rebates you get as a result of making contribution. So let's say you've been saving money from one of these side hustles we talked about and you saved a bunch of money. Let's say you've got $20,000 sitting in your RSP account and it's not yet in your RSP. Now, if you put that $20,000 into your RSP and when you file your taxes next year, you'll get a tax refund of $8,000, assuming you're in a 40% tax bracket. And now you take that $8,000 that you got for free and put it back into your RSP. Now you have $28,000 by virtually doing nothing except planning accordingly. Now, once you've got your down payment saved up and ready to go, on the second step, it is to get your pre-approval for a mortgage, which I'll discuss in our second part series on how to buy a house in Canada in 2022. I'm going to talk about all the ins and outs of mortgage and mortgage pre-approval. Should you work with your bank or a mortgage broker? What is the difference between variable rates versus fixed rate? What are the right types of product, and much more. To ensure you don't miss on the second video on this series, consider subscribing, hit the notification bell so you're notified as soon as we upload, and we'll see you on the next video.